Hey you, it's CovertGoBlue, and maybe they just made the most busted frickin' white card ever. Or at least possibly the best white card on MTG Arena. I think that there's a case for that. This is Reprieve. It is 1 and a white is an instant. It's only an uncommon, and it says return target spell to its owner's hand. Draw a card. Return target spell to owner's hand, draw a card. Spell? That's like on the stack. Only blue does stuff on the stack. What the heck are these changes coming to my game? What have they done to my color pie? Oh my lord. And, hey, at least they kept it in the other color that I like the best, going from blue into white. But Wizards has created a reprint of Remand. A reprint of Remand, which is a boomer card. Many of you don't know Remand. That's because the card was so oppressively busted that it made Magic absolutely miserable, but delightful for those who liked casting it for a good period of time. And it was a standard and modern all-star, and they haven't quite reprinted it in all this time. And now they have, and it's going to be in white. So, first of all, this is from Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth. This will be coming to Arena on June 20th, so it's still a ways off. This will be legal in Historic Brawl, and Alchemy, which is a surprise to me because I thought they said that this set would not be legal in Alchemy, but they've changed their mind. They've altered the deal. Pray they don't alter it further. But for now, this will not be a standard legal card. However, just the fact that this will be available as an uncommon for Historic Brawl and Historic is kind of insane to me, because Remand in its day was an absolute beating. If you've ever been remanded 2 or 3 turns in a row, like they drew 3 remands, you know the hell of which I speak. Maybe this plus Snapcaster Mage, huh? Anybody seen some of that? Remand was a heck of a card. 1 in a blue instant to counter target spell, and you draw a card. And if the spell is countered that way, you return it to the hand instead of the graveyard. Just a tempo machine. Basically keeps people from casting spells that are 3, 4, and definitely 5 mana. Oppresses the Timmies everywhere. And quite honestly, Reprieve is even better. Why? Because of this line, counter target spell. If that spell is countered, put it into its owner's hand instead of the graveyard. If you target a Coma Cosmos Serpent with Remand, and it says this spell can't be countered, the Remand's not going to do much. However, if you target Coma Cosmos Serpent with Reprieve, well, F's in the chat for Coma. That is a heck of a tempo play. And yeah, this card can definitely go into blue-white control decks, because for 2 mana, a spell that can hit anything is amazing. Another really fun thing that you can do with a card like Remand or Reprieve that I really enjoyed back in the day is in Counter Wars, where the opponent plays their counter spell and they target your cool spell, and you cast Reprieve. Do you cast down the counter spell to force your thing through? You can, if the opponent doesn't have the mana to then recast their counterspell. Or you can pull this little switcheroo. You can Reprieve your own spell. It goes back to your hand. You draw a card. Their counterspell fizzles, goes to graveyard. They have it no more. Next turn, or now if you have the mana, play your spell again. I love little moves like that cards like these allow. So I'm very much going to enjoy Reprieve across all of the formats. And the last time we had a card like this that was standard-ish legal or widely played on Arena, it was Divide by Zero. And this card had to be banned in Standard, nerfed in Alchemy, and it got unnerfed. So if you play it in Historic or Historic Brawl now, it works the way that it used to work. But it got unnerfed because the Alchemy time, its legality and Alchemy came to an end. That's what I'm trying to say. When things rotate, they usually go back to their normal unnerfed versions, except in the case of All Runs Epiphany. So Divide by Zero, it had to be banned in Standard. It was oppressive. And it paired up with another card that is still legal in Alchemy, which is Lear, Disciple of the Drowned. But it's worth noting that Lear is currently nerfed in Alchemy. If you haven't played it in a minute, you might have missed this one. You can only cast the card from the graveyard during your turn, not during the opponent's turn. So, not as busted with Lear, but in the fall, when Lear leaves Alchemy and Standard, Lear will probably revert, and then that will probably be a viable end game if you're trying to play a slower deck in Historic, which some people don't believe exists, but it does. You can play longer games in Historic. It's just a tough losing battle. Maybe it'll get more interesting now that we have Reprieve, because casting Reprieve off a Leer sounds so gross, absolutely filthy. Like I get squirmy just thinking about doing that or having it done to me. I mean, I'll just scoop. If I see a Leer over there with like 2 Reprieves in the graveyard and I'm looking at some spells in my hand that I know aren't going to resolve and my opponent's going to draw cards, nope, I'm not playing that game. I'm running away as fast as I can go. But another big question I think that some people will have is, I mean, can this really be the best white card of all time when it doesn't go in a white aggro deck with Thalia? I think it does. The whole idea of Thalia is you make your opponent's spells cost more and you attack them. You know, you clock them while they're getting their stuff together, hitting their land drops so they can play their spells. If they have to pay more for their spell, who cares if you pay 1 more for this spell if they're paying even more for their spell that you then just return to their hand and you draw a card? Like, it can definitely lock people out. If your first 3 turns are 1-drop Thalia Adeline and you have a Reprieve or 2 and you're able to pass with some position like that on board because Thalia disrupted them, then Reprieve is just going to lock him out of the game. Think of the soldier decks that run a couple of Protect the Negotiators. I fear those soldier decks more than I fear the versions that don't. Now, I don't always bring myself to run Protect the Negotiators and soldiers, but I should, because paying an extra for the Thalia is totally worth it when you're shutting down their big stabilizing play, their board wipe, or their like Shieldred sized creature. You know, hitting something like that with a Reprieve will be absolutely backbreaking. So I think that white creature decks will actually want to play this card in Historic and in Historic Brawl, which is the biggest point for me, and why I think this might be the best white card rather on Arena. I can't think of a Historic Brawl deck I don't want to play this in. I want to put this in all of them. Atraxa, absolutely I want to put this in Atraxa. Buying time and like hitting land drops is all that deck wants to do. This card really helps with that. Adeline, like a really good aggressive style white aggro deck, absolutely I'm going to play Reprieve. I already play Mana Tithe. Blue-white control to Fairy, absolutely I'm going to play this card. If somebody can name a deck where I'm just not going to play this, I'd be curious what the heck that would be. I mean, some Umori pile. But, I mean, if it has white, I think that I'm going to play Reprieve in it in every Historic Brawl deck that I have. So, yeah, craft one of these as an uncommon. It's going to be omnipresent because it's so easy to craft. And it's going to be all over the formats where it's legal. And it's not exactly a fun card to play against, so your blood pressure might rise a bit when the opponent hits you with 2 or 3 Reprieves in a row, because sometimes that just happens. Oh my gosh, I don't know whether to be hyped or now terrified of this card. I'm a little bit of both, but if this is the power level that Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth is going to print into Historic Brawl, Alchemy, and Historic, this format is in for an absolutely wild ride, and we're gonna have to pay attention to these spoilers, so keep an eye on it. It won't be coming out till June, but man, I get hyped to talk about it now. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one, and let me know in the comments, what do you think? Is this the best white card? If not, name one better, please. Yeah, you're cool.